Hi everyone, my name is Kyle Wood, and today I will be discussing with you an ESL teacher's pedagogy on corrective feedback. We're going to learn about the teacher's background first. So the teacher, he has 10 years teaching ESL experience to Korean students. 6 of those years have been teaching at Wisville Language Institute, where I have been employed for the last 2 years. He has been the head instructor for the last 3 years. So that means head instructor of the foreign teachers. He teaches kindergarten 7 years 3. That means these students are 7 years old and they've been studying at the institute for 3 years. They're 7 in Korean, but they're actually 6 in Western age. And also elementary students. So he teaches students from around 7 years old to 11. And it's at an English Immersion Institute. So these students are learning basically only English from 9 to 3 o'clock. They will have maybe 1 or 2 Neri Hangul classes and 1 Chinese class during school hours. And the average class size is around 10 students. That's the max for Korean kindergartens. Before teaching at Wisville, he taught at an ESL debate school in Incheon. He has earned a CELTA certification from the UK, and he is also fluent in Korean. The interview environment, it was at a local restaurant in our Yani neighborhood. It lasted for about an hour and a half. We covered personal L2 learning experience, so when he was learning Korean, how it affected him, and we also covered corrective feedback beliefs depending upon level in written or oral communication, and strategies for new ESL teachers providing corrective feedback. And then from the questions that I asked him, I tried to gather the most common form of CF that he implements on a daily basis. So the teacher will generally push the student to self-correct when prompted about their initial mistake via metalinguistic clues, repetition, or elicitation through prompts. For reasons to believe recast, when he provides the direct target model, is often another common form of corrective feedback for the teacher. Often corrects students' natural language that is apparent outside of class sessions. This is done by stating the correct utterance and having the students repeat the model target structure. So little disclaimer, because the teacher is a homeroom teacher at an English immersion school, a majority of the corrective feedback is given in between classes or when students are using natural language. Often during break times or maybe during playtime or just free time, students are speaking the natural language. And they're also often asking teachers to, go to the bathroom or drink some water. And this is when the teacher sees maybe the most erroneous mistakes in maybe a target language or target structure. So an example would be maybe student, may I go bathroom? Teacher, may I go long pause bathroom? And student would usually maybe have an uptake of may I go to the bathroom? How CF or corrective feedback has changed over teaching career. So in the past, the teacher mentioned that it was more explicit in the beginning years because he lacked the experience and rules to help students learn at a more proficient rate. So was not very well equipped with the lessons at hand and also even the English grammar rules. So example, no, you need to use the past tense verb went. So just basically would not prompt them in the situation when an error occurred. Now the present, he uses more elicitation. He has a more in-depth understanding of English language rules and common errors. And also being fluent in Korean opens a conduit for understanding the reasons why students are making second language errors. So example, remember not go, but. So another example of pausing and prompting the students to try to self-correct. Corrective feedback believes in oral communication, understands students individually, prior knowledge, and uses a holistic scale to determine the implicitness or explicitness of the corrective feedback that is needed for the student. Gives examples. He tries to be relatable and approachable. Discusses the error at hand in efficient detail. Uses elicitation, prompts, clues to help students determine what is the right or wrong utterance and why. In oral communication, he also gives focused corrective feedback. So if students are making multiple mistakes, he will hone in on the most significant error or the most common erroneous utterance. Offers the most simplified corrective feedback version possible to stay within their zone of proximal development. Corrective feedback should be contingent and tailored to the needs of individual learners. Lantoff, 2000. So this is what I found relatable to the teacher's corrective feedback beliefs. Beliefs in written communication. He likes to use group feedback or peer assessment with young learners to spell check capital letters. Gives examples if students are making mistakes within the same nature. Always positive. Always discreet about whom the student may be when discussing error with the class. Lower level students will tend to let them make the mistake and then correct later. Older level students will often point out the mistakes as they are in the process of writing, and provides focused feedback that highlights a certain pattern of linguistic errors. So he likes to be focused and selective upon the error at hand. Selective correction is both more practical and more supportive of students' feelings. Katayama, 2007. So I felt this went hand in hand with his ideology of written corrective feedback. And then concluding thoughts and ideas. It's very highly individualized, focused feedback. If students make multiple errors, he will help give examples of the more pertinent ones at hand, but be covert in correcting the more minute ones because it is outside their zone of proximal development. This is also a way to keep the parents happy. It's always balanced corrective feedback on writing samples. Alters the form of corrective feedback depending on students at hand. I think one of the main things from this is that he registers the class before providing corrective feedback. Corrective feedback relies on the reactiveness and is based on what the learner actually needs rather than what we might imagine they need. So Hattie, 2009. So the teacher always makes sure to register the class before implementing a certain type of corrective feedback. This goes for all levels that he teaches. All right, thank you very much.